Hello everyone, and welcome to the Brickformula review of LEGO Set 3181 Passenger Plane. It has 309 pieces for ages 5 to 12, and it's from the City series, and this set retails for $39.99. And I would like to give a shout out to LEGO 93789 because he's a subscriber who had requested that I review this set. So everyone check out his channel, and moving forward, here in the front we can see that they're ready to take off, and then I guess they forgot something. On the side here we have the minifigures. I'll talk about them later. And here in the back we can pretty much see all of the play features here. And I'll talk about this set in more detail coming up. Here are the minifigures, and first up is the passenger, who looks like he's going on a business trip. Although he's probably not going to do much business because you'll find that his suitcase is a little empty. But I guess it's alright. I like the way he's dressed. And here's all around. Next is a service worker who reminds me of one of the robbers from the City Police sets, and it looks like this one just got out of jail and he's ready to make some changes, positive changes. So I guess that's a good thing. And finally we have the pilot, who looks like a really experienced pilot, and there he is. I like the suit too, although they really should change it after a while, because if it weren't for that badge he would look like a doorman of a really fancy hotel. Before we move on to the main attraction, I figured we'll check out the radar tower because you get to build this first, and it's a pretty simple design. This part up here can move a full 360 degrees, and you can adjust this up and down if you like, and you can also move this left and right if you want to. And it's attached pretty securely to the base because they use a Technic axle piece and a Technic plate to hold it all down. And just in case if the service worker decides to show up to work drunk, they even added some guardrails to the corners, this way he doesn't bring this whole thing down. Pretty neat, right? Next we'll take a look at the little airport tow truck, which is a pretty cool looking vehicle. This right here can be disconnected, and this is what's used to tug around the airplanes, and I'll talk about this later. For now we'll take a look at the side. Here we have a clip for the walkie-talkie. This way you can tell him the weather conditions, stuff like that, make sure he's at work. Here's a view of the front, here's the other side, and there's the back. And we have a back seat right there. There's the bottom, and there's the top. Pretty nice, right? That is until it starts to rain. Now you got yourself a big portable bathtub. Anyway, we'll just put him in there, and he looks pretty good. Now we'll just hook this back up. And the way you tug airplanes around is if you look on the bottom of this one, you'll see that there's a hole right there. And that's where you push the peg into, and I can drag it around. Now when you do that, it kind of lifts up the airplane in the front, so the front wheels don't really touch the ground. And you can use this to tug around the bigger airplanes, such as the one from the airport set. And here we are. The thing is though, it doesn't really reach, so what you have to do is you have to either replace this axle piece with a size 4, or you can just add yourself a Technic connector with another size 2 axle piece, and that should do the trick. Although if you do it this way, you'll also lift this one off the ground in the front there. Now that wheel's kind of hanging off too, but at least it works, right? Now we're going to check out the airplane. Finally, here's the passenger airplane, and it looks really cool. It kind of reminds me of the Spyjet from Cars 2, except this is a lot longer. And speaking of the size, lengthwise it's about 14 inches, and the wingspan is also about 14 inches. Actually, it's more like 13 to 14, depending on how far you want to extend the wingtips, because they are adjustable. And here's the view of the top. There's the bottom. We don't have retractable landing gear, but if you want, you can always rip them off. This way it looks like it's in flight. And it looks really cool without them. See that? Really nice. I do find it a little awkward that they have these red plates on the bottom there. I think blue or gray would have looked a lot better. But then again, you guys fix that on your own because those are pretty common parts. And here's the view of the back. Looks great, doesn't it? And I especially love the view from the front. Now that looks like a really cool jet. And now let's take a look at the inside. When you're opening up the airplane, I do recommend you open up the front first and then you open the rest of it, because it's a lot easier. If you don't do that, you'll find yourself using either your fingernails or some other way to pry this open, because this is really on there. So just to give you an idea, we'll just open that first and just lift it up from here, and it's a lot easier. Okay, and that's what that looks like. And here's the view of the inside. We have 6 passenger seats and 1 extra seat for the pilot. And there are the controls. It seems like a lot for one person. And we'll just put them over there. You'll also notice that we have a lot of legroom too. Isn't that nice? Although it's too bad they don't give enough headspace. Let me show you guys what I mean. Let's just put our passengers in there first. Have them sitting there comfortably. We can put in the service guy there too. He's got nothing better to do anyway. And when you close this up, you'll notice that they have just enough space on the top there for their heads. So you can't really adjust the seats either, because if you try to condense it, you could add in like an extra seat or two, but then again, they're all not going to fit because they have to go in between those red plates that you see there. And that's how that works. And they cannot stand while they're inside the airplane. They just have to sit, and hopefully it's a short trip. And there we go. Overall, it's not a bad design. So let's take a look at the recommendations. Overall, I'd say it's an okay set. When it comes to the value, we have a price per piece ratio of 12.9 cents per piece, which is okay. And according to BrinkLink, we're getting about $35 to $47 worth of parts here, which is actually not that bad. So ideally, you want to get a discount of at least 15% off if you plan to get this set. And when it comes to the play value, I would say it's pretty good. I would have to say that tugging around airplanes is actually more fun than it seems. I mean, look at this guy. He's like, hey, wait for me. And the airplane has a pretty good weight to it. It's not heavy, and it's definitely a lot of fun to fly around. And on a final note, if you've been collecting Lego for a long time, you might have purchased the passenger plane back in 2007, which is set number 7893. And if you compare that one to this one's going to feel like a huge downgrade. So if you have that one, you might not be that interested in this one, because it certainly has less features than that one. And in the end, it's going to feel like a totally different airplane, but still, there's a lot of similarities that you might want to stay clear of this one, because you already have a passenger plane. So it's totally understandable. But for everyone else who doesn't, this is a pretty cool set, and I think you'll like it. And that sums up my review. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.